Hey, my name is Brian Wall with worshiptutorials.com and brianwallmusic.com. Today we're going to learn how to play our first chord. So if you are just starting out playing the guitar, this video is for you. This is where we're going to start. Before we get started though, playing our first chord, let's talk just a little bit about how to hold the guitar, the names of the strings, and we'll get set up with how we're going to number our fingers and how to read a chord diagram. So first things first, I've got just a standard acoustic dreadnought guitar here. You want to make sure that the body of the guitar is perpendicular to your leg. If your leg is straight, it should be straight. The guitar should be straight up and down. You want it right up against your body like this. So you want, when you look at the neck should be going straight up and down. A lot of people when they first start out, whether it's because you're trying to see, probably it's because you want to see the strings. A lot of times you'll start out and you'll see people do this. That is not good. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that it is straight up and down. To see the strings, you might have to peek over the top a little bit. So sit up straight, which will help you play nicely. You don't want your elbows on your knees or on your legs or anything like that. You want to sit up straight. You want to make your you want to be comfortable sitting. Your elbows at about a 90-degree angle. And that was the chord that we're going to play. It was a D chord. But that's how you hold it. And so let's talk about the names of the strings. You want to memorize the names of the strings, starting at the top which is the thickest string. It's also the lowest. It is an E. The next one down is an A. The next one is D, then G, then B, and then at the very bottom, which is the highest string, is an E. So the two strings on the edges are both E. If you notice, they're the same tone or the same note, but they're an octave apart. You want to make sure that your guitar is in tune. Every time you practice, you want to tune it. So if you don't have a tuner, go get a tuner. You can get a tuner that has a little microphone on it that'll listen to the guitar, or you can have ones that you can plug your guitar in if yours is electric acoustic like mine, or if it's an electric guitar. Okay, so we've talked about the names of the strings, how to hold the guitar. Let's talk about our hand. So this is, if you are a right-handed person, your left hand will be doing all of the fretting on the guitar. So our fingers have numbers. Your thumb does not. So these four fingers are numbered 1 through 4. Your index finger is number 1. Your middle finger is 2. Your ring finger is 3. And your pinky is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's look at a chord diagram, which we have right here. And this is the D chord, which is what we're going to play today. Now the chord diagram, it looks like the neck of the guitar. Let me get this so you can see it. So, I hit it on the chair. So you'll see the diagram. At the top of the diagram is this nut. That is like the 0 fret. And then you see the frets going across the diagram and the strings going down. Those correspond with the strings on the guitar. So E, A, D, G, B, E. And then the frets are the lines going across on the diagram are the frets on the fretboard. So it's like you're just looking straight at the fretboard of the guitar. Now on some of them you'll see, like on this D chord for example, there's an X on top of the low E string. That means you don't play that string, and we'll talk about how that works later. If there's a circle above the string, like there is above the D and the D string, that means that you let the string ring, but you don't have any fingers on top of it. Now there are dots on top of the strings where you put your fingers. So there's a dot above the G string, and it has a 1 on it. That means you use your one finger and you play it on whatever fret the dot is. In this case, it's the 2nd fret. There is a 3 above the B string, so that means you put your 3rd finger, which was your ring finger, on the B string on the 3rd fret, and then there's a 2 in the dot above on the high E string, so you put your middle finger on the 2nd fret. So the dots tell you both where you put your finger and what finger you put down. Okay, when you put your fingers down, this is important. This is how your hand should be on the back of the guitar. So first of all, you don't want your thumb over the top. You want your thumb wrapped all the way behind if you can. A lot of times you'll see people and their thumb, including myself, and their thumb will be wrapped around, and there's a reason for that. But if you can, it'll make it easier if your thumb is back behind the rest of your fingers. My guitar teacher told me that you want to think about holding a tennis ball in your hand. So when you've got it, let me see if I can put this guitar so you can see. You see how there's like a circular area right here where the ball would be theoretically. I don't know how you would get a tennis ball in there, but that's what he told me. The point is, you don't want your palm against the back of the guitar. You want there to be some space and some air. If the further down your wrist is underneath the guitar, the easier it'll be for you to get your fingers on the frets and on the strings. Something to think about. So you need to find a place that's comfortable for you, but you want to make sure that your palm isn't pressed against the guitar or the back of the guitar like this. Okay? The next thing is, when you put your finger down, it's important how your finger comes down. I'm going to see if I can show you this to illustrate. Probably better if I turn it this way so you can see. You want your finger to come straight down on it like this. You don't want your finger to come down flat like this. Let me see if I can give you a better angle. Okay, you want it straight down like so. And if you come down flat like this, what you'll do is you'll hit other strings. You'll touch other strings with your finger, and that's bad. So you want to make sure that you only touch the string, the one string that your finger is supposed to be on, with your finger. Otherwise, what will happen is, let's say you put your index finger on this G string here on the 2nd fret, and put the rest of them down, but it's sloppy and it touches that D string right above it. It will sound, you'll have that going on. You'll mute it. So you want to make sure you're only touching the strings you're supposed to touch. So come down like this, not like that. There's what you want. That's bad. Good, bad. All right, moving on. So let's play our first chord. So here's the D chord diagram. So what we do is we take our first finger, put it on the G string. So E, A, D, G. It's the 4th down from the top, 2nd fret with your first finger. When you've got that down, you put your 3rd finger down on the B string. So keep your first finger down and then put your 3rd finger down on the B string, 2nd from the bottom, on the 3rd fret. And then take your middle finger and put it on the high E string, the very bottom string, on the 2nd fret. So what your fingers look like is they kind of look like a triangle, if you can see that when you're looking down. Okay, now you're not supposed to play the low E string. It's because it's not in the chord, that note. So you've got 2 options. One is when you strum it, you can just not strum it. Same with the A. In my opinion, the A actually sounds okay in this chord. It doesn't sound bad to me, but technically, you're only supposed to play the 4 bottom strings. What I do, and what a lot of people do, is wrap the thumb around and touch the low E string. If you touch that low E string, it mutes. And now I'm touching it. So, you can play the full chord and not worry about that low E coming through. So, now that you've got your first chord, this is what you should do. You should play it, get your fingers into position, and strum it. And after you strum it, pick out each note individually. So D, G, B, E, and then back down. So when you practice, it should be... want to get to where none of those strings sound like this. And if they do it first, it is just fine. It happens to everybody. When everyone starts out, they start out playing and the notes kind of sound like, you know, they'll sound kind of like that, but that's okay. All you have to do is keep practicing, keep at it, and the more you practice, the more it will sound like this. So one more thing, if you're using a pick, how to hold the pick. The way I do it is take your index finger and put the pick on your index finger like it's pointing. So lay it straight down on your index finger like it's pointing. Now it's pointing at you. Now it's pointing this way. And then take your thumb and come over the top of it, kind of like that. So that's the way I hold the pick. That's the way I was taught. And so when you strum, it kind of comes down. It looks like this. Alright? A lot of times I actually hold the pick backwards just because I like the way it sounds. Alright, you can do whatever you like. When you strum, we're going to talk about strumming later, but if you try and get into a little strumming, and I'll go into this more in depth, you want to make sure most of it happens in your wrist and not at your elbow. So there you go. That's your first chord, how to hold a guitar, how to read a chord diagram, and sort of how to hold your hand that you put on the strings. So if you have any questions, please head over to worshiptutorials.com. There's a link right below. And there you can see a big chord diagram so you can see exactly where to put your fingers. If you have any questions, please ask there. If this is the first time you've ever picked up a guitar, I want to encourage you to keep at it. Give it a few months and practice a lot. And in that amount of time, you'll be able to start playing, and I will start doing more and more video lessons for you, and they'll all be for free. So you can follow along and we can learn how to play guitar together. So please head over to Worship Tutorials and ask in the comments or just say hello. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.